What's going on, everybody? So yes, a couple more fantasy mock drafts right before fantasy football season starts and the NFL season starts next Thursday coming up. So yes, to start off this one, ended up going with a quarterback and Justin Herbert. Yes, obviously putting a little bit more stock in a team that I follow, but I think he's going to have a pretty big year, and hopefully it is, because it could be an MVP type of year, but definitely looking forward to it. Then my first running back ended up going with Dalvin Cook. Obviously one of the better top 10 guys, definitely top 5 or 6 overall this year. It didn't have as many good stats last year, a little less touchdowns, but I think he will progress a lot better with the new head coach there. And then second running back is Aaron Jones from the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, pretty much the only people that Aaron Rodgers does trust at this moment are people who he's been playing with recently, and the two running backs are going to be his main go-to guys, I think, his first options, and then he's going to go to the wide receivers. So whether he's getting opportunities to run or catch little dunk-offs from Rodgers, I think he could have a pretty big year overall. Aaron Jones, that is. Then one of my wide receivers ended up going with CeeDee Lamb. He was one of the main options there in Dallas. So you got to get either one or two, in my opinion. It's either CeeDee Lamb or Schultz. Then it's like Prescott and Elliott. But obviously I got the number one guy in Dallas, in my opinion. So not too shabby there. Then my second wide receiver, according to this, is Terry McLaurin. Obviously got a new contract, so he's going to put up or shut up this year. And, they're definitely paying him a lot now, even though they did draft a rookie in the first round at wide receiver. But we'll see what he can do. Then at tight end, ended up going with TJ Hawkinson. I've had him, his rookie year, he had a great first game and then kind of was up and down. And even last year had injuries, but this year it looks like he's 100% healthy. Hopefully that will stay the full season, and he could be very productive because he is pretty much the second or third option there on that team as well. Definitely the second option passing wise out there. Then in my flex, ended up going with Travis Etienne from Jacksonville. Taking him before, but like I said, he's going to be top 2 or 3 guys fantasy wise you should target in Jacksonville, and luckily he's on my flex, so I can put him up as a starter too if I need to. Then with my defense, ended up going with the Chargers. Just have a lot of belief. They spent so much money over there on that side of the ball with so many guys that they got and traded for and continue to add. So hopefully it does pay off in the end. Then with the kicker, ended up going with Tyler Bass from Buffalo. Had him a couple years ago. Was great. Buffalo is one of the top scoring offenses out there in the NFL. So you always got to go look for those kickers and see. I waited till a couple last picks and still was able to get a really talented kicker on my roster. Then starting with the benches, start with wide receiver Adam Thielen. Pretty good second, or actually he's pretty much the third total option there in Minnesota behind Jefferson and Cook. But they are going to be throwing a lot more, I believe, because of Kevin O'Connell, who came from the Rams after the past couple years. So hopefully he does get some more catches here and there. Could help him out a lot. Then my running back, Kareem Hunt, off the bench. He's coming off the bench also on his team with Cleveland, the second guy. But he did produce really well, even playing with Nick Chubb in the games as well. So, and plus, if anything happens to Chubb, he's a really good replacement back as well. Then I ended up going with the rookie wide receiver from Ohio State, Chris Olave, who's with the New Orleans Saints. I just don't know about Michael Thomas and how 100% healthy he is. And when you look at the other receivers there, it kind of just seems like it might just be Olave and Landry, and it's pretty much it. They don't really have a tight end. I don't remember. And yeah, it's Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram in the running backs. But your top 3, 4, 5 option in Olave as a rookie, and he's pretty much a down the field guy, which Jameis Winston loves to throw down the field, who is healthy this year, then got to take a chance at him this late in the draft. Took another rookie and running back Ken Walker III from Seattle. At the time, it looked good, but now it doesn't look as good because I believe he's dealing with a groin injury, which sucks, but maybe it's a good stash if this were to happen, if I ended up going with him. I think Penny is going a lot higher now because of Walker's injury, but we'll see how it goes. Then, last pick of the draft, what it looks like is a wide receiver from New England in Jacoby Myers, who had a pretty solid year last year. I still believe Devontae Parker will be the main guy out there, but when it comes to, semi-good teams or semi-bad teams like the Patriots are right now, Myers still has a chance to have a good week or two here or there. So hopefully when you're filling him in on your bye week, because this guy's a bench and stash guy, so you're not going to start him every week unless the matchup is great or there's injuries on his team. So yeah, overall, it's not a bad draft. It was a grade regular A, which is pretty cool. Not an A-. So overall, still got value throughout the whole entire roster. Wouldn't mind going into next season with this group of guys. So yes, and the next group of guys, this grade was an A-, which isn't bad at all. It's still an A, so I'm only talking about A's. And yes, to start off with the quarterback, ended up going with Dak Prescott. Usually don't go with Dak Prescott, but an earlier mock video I ended up going with him, and here I did as well. But that's just because I waited a little bit longer than normal to take a quarterback, and he was available. He was a better guy at the time, and I think he is another year removed from that bigger injury, because last year I didn't think he was going to do as well, which he didn't. But now he should be more confident and not worrying too much about getting hurt again. So he should be a pretty good fantasy quarterback at least. First wide receiver is Deebo Samuel. Obviously one of the better guys last year. I had him last year, won my league. He was a top 3 overall guy. So I had to take a stab at him here, especially since he was able to make good with this team and get a new contract. I still think Brandon Ayuk will get a lot of time, especially because Trey Lance likes to throw the ball down the field too. Very more athletic quarterback than Garoppolo. But we'll see. It could be a very great, freaking crazy San Francisco offense, or it could be a lot of growing pains because it's only the quarterback's second year in the NFL and his first year starting pretty much. He only started 2 games last year and did pretty average, not great, so we'll see. Second wide receiver is A.J. Brown, who is in a good situation after being traded to Philadelphia and got his contract as well signed there. So looking to prove that he's worth the money. And Devontae Smith is there and stuff, but I still like A.J. Brown as the number one pretty much fantasy guy out there other than Jalen Hurts, of course, the quarterback. Then running back, ended up going with Dalvin Cook. Obviously, he was my first pick selected in this mock. But yeah, obviously, I believe in Dalvin Cook. You already know that I picked him from the last time as well. The last mock draft, what I believe he can do. And yes, they are going to be throwing more in Minnesota, but I still think touchdown-wise, he's going to get a lot of those easy touchdowns right up in there and get a lot of points. Second running back is Chase Edmonds, who looks to be the starter in Miami, even though they look like they're going to go with a committee approach like that new head coach was doing as the offensive coordinator in San Francisco. But they always say that, and then they always stick with the guy. So hoping it's Edmonds, because they did pay him a bit more than the other guys that are still on the roster. And yeah, my running back might be the worst part. My second running back is the worst part, but I have a lot of good top guys. Speaking of the next top guy, is my tight end, and George Kittle, considered a top 3 or 4, 5th best tight end at his position, and in that same 49ers offense, who I think can explode and do really good things, because he has been kind of injury-riddled past couple years, but once he's now officially healthy, he should be fine. So hoping for good things from him. And my flex was a running back in Cordell Patterson, who did really good last year. It's kind of weird because he was drafted as a wide receiver, then kind of really only did punt returns, and then they're kind of moving him all around because he's a very athletic guy and intriguing guy, and then it's on so many teams, and then finally found a home in Atlanta, went off and did a lot of crazy stuff. They gave him a whole bunch of stats, and he was really good. So definitely a really good waiver find last year, but now it's like he could be the main starting running back because they don't really have one in Atlanta this year again, but who knows if they're going to go to him and have to go to him as much, because last year they did it off of necessity because of injuries, but this year you never know. But he is a flex, so he could be either on the bench or starting. Then my kicker is Rodrigo Blankenship, who did pretty solid for them the past couple years in Indianapolis with the Colts. So I remember him from college at Georgia. He's a pretty talented dude. Then my defense is the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, they paid so much to have a really good defense last year. They did have a little bit of an easier schedule last year, which is why their defense was ranked pretty high. But hopefully it can still continue because they did make some good signings there as well. So we'll see. And my bench guys, first off is running back James Cook. So I have the Cook brothers on my team, which is pretty cool. But I believe he has a chance to start over there in Buffalo because he was drafted pretty high this year. And he's kind of the more athletic, better running back as of right now. But I still think they might stick with Devin Singletary in the beginning. Then maybe go to James Cook. You never know. Next is a running back, James Robinson. You've seen me take him a lot in other mock drafts. I think at the time we didn't really know how much he was still working back. I might miss the first couple weeks of the year, but I think it's still a pretty okay pick even this late because you're not expecting him to start. And when he does start eventually, mid to late in the year, he could have some big games depending how bad or how good Jacksonville is. So could be an interesting pickup there. Then wide receiver Robert Woods, one of the few USC guys I've selected in these mocks, and he's coming off a torn ACL last year, but he looks like he's pretty much close to being 100% healthy and looking like the #1 receiver out there in Tennessee, even though they did draft a first-round wide receiver in Treylon Burks. But I'm sticking with Robert Woods because he's going to be the more consistent guy. Then next is a wide receiver, Devontae Parker, who's now with the New England Patriots. And yeah, he had one really good year in Miami and did okay. It was pretty average the other years, and then finally, I don't remember if he was released or traded to New England, but now he's up there in the same division, and I just think Mac Jones is a little bit more of a consistent quarterback than Tua Tagovailoa. So I think it could help out, and he's been getting a lot of work in the preseason. They've been going to him a lot, so like what I've been seeing. So this is not a bad pick to maybe get a first or second option receiver-wise up there in New England. Then I got an extra tight end just in case, Mo Alley Cox, just because of the injury history with George Kittle, and they've been talking a lot about this guy actually finally becoming a starter in Indy because he's always had someone else like Jack Doyle, anybody else to be in his way, and they gave him a pretty nice contract as well. So as I say, follow the money, and he was one of the few tight ends to get a nice deal. Just like David Njoku with Cleveland, he could be in for a nice year as well, depending who the quarterback is, of course. And then lastly, went with the rookie wide receiver in Sky Moore, who's with the Kansas City Chiefs. So you gotta take anything, throw a dart this late in the draft of anybody who can produce on a really solid starting or quality offensive team in the NFL. Obviously, when Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback, you got to take a chance, and hopefully he decides one of those guys is his main receiver. You just never know. Obviously, it's going to be Kelsey, but other than that, there's a lot of places to go because Tyreek Hill is gone, so a lot of receptions available for all those guys. So we'll see. Should be very interesting. So yeah, thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.